Okay, people, so one of the age-old questions when it comes to the anime community towards the end of each and every year is, what was anime of the year? Top anime, best anime, favorite anime, all of that jazz is definitely a topic of conversation when it comes to the end of a year and being an anime fan in the anime community. So with this video, I'm going to be providing my personal top 10 anime of the year. For the most part, this list was comprised of a couple of different variables, including, of course, my own personal taste, the shows that I felt were the least quality to the most quality, but still, great enough to be a part of my top 10. And in general, just the anime that had the most impact for me throughout the year, the ones that were memorable, the ones that had the moments that, whether it made me laugh, whether it made me cry, whether it made me jump out of my seat and go, oh my god, this is epic. These are the anime, the 10 that I chose. I had asked over on the community tab a couple days ago which anime you guys thought was anime of the year, and a lot of you guys gave your input, so here's mine. Also, just want to throw that in there that there is no spoilers with my top 10, so do not worry about being spoiled. At best, I'll give vague hints of stuff, but yeah, you don't gotta worry about being spoiled. Let's get into it.
No matter how you feel, get it done. No matter how you feel, get it done. No matter how you feel, get it done. No matter how you feel, get it done.
Okay, so I'll be honest with you guys. 2021 had a lot of really awesome anime, a lot of impactful anime, a lot of anime that were very beloved and people just were really excited about throughout the year. But again, I had to come up with my list, and I'll also have a few that I felt were just honorable mentions or worth noting in general. So I guess let's start off with number 10. Now, this one in particular, a lot of it was due to the fact that, first of all, I'm an anime only with this show, and even though I follow a lot of manga from the Shonen Jump magazine, this one I have stayed faithful to being strictly anime only, so a lot of the surprises, twists, and turns of it were awesome, but just in general, it's such a different and unique series. And the series that I'm referring to at number 10 is Dr. Stone Season 2 Stone Wars, or Stone Wars. Stone Wars, Dr. Stone absolutely deserved to be in my top 10 anime of the year, between just, as always, Dr. Stone being a treat of scientific fascination for me. I'm always fascinated by the lessons you can learn, the little mechanisms, how they do this, how, this is made and things like that. Already something that is just very interesting to me, but just in general, the twists and turns, the resolve of this war, was it perfect? There were some things that definitely could have been done better, and just in terms of how long the war actually lasted, considering it's called Stone Wars, wasn't ideal, but man, between a lot of the, again, ways of getting out of certain traps and just in general the reunion of certain characters already was really awesome. But then one of the big things that put the cherry on top for me for this season, for Dr. Stone to make the top 10, was the ending of the season of Dr. Stone Stone Wars was absolutely heart-wrenching. That had me so freaking emotional. I didn't see it coming. I thought, like, okay, maybe it's going to go a classic way of, the way Dragon Ball Z does it, of like, hey, we beefing, nah, we cool. Like, that's genuinely what I thought was going to happen, and the way everything just wrapped itself up was just, it had me a little teary-eyed, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh my god, what are you doing to me, Dr. Stone? Senku was freaking awesome throughout this. Just in general, man, Dr. Stone, such a rare treat of a series, so different, such a breath of fresh air for the shonen genre, and that's why absolutely I had to put Dr. Stone Stone Wars at 10 on my top 10 anime of the year, because it was pretty freaking awesome and just a little bit different. Next up, people, number 9, highly anticipated, long awaited, and it would probably be higher up had it had a little more of a resolve, a little more of a resolution to the plot, considering we only got a batch of episodes of it thus far, is why it still made it to my top 10, because it was freaking epic. But it comes in at number 9, and that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean, aka part 6 of the JoJo story. Jolene Cujo, I'm not even gonna lie, dog, I'm not a big, nowadays, me in 2021 and on, I'm not that big of a rewatcher. I don't rewatch anime like that. However, I am already almost done with my second rewatch of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean. Like, that's how much I freaking love the characters. Like, so far, obviously, hands down, bar none, the best character, my favorite character, is Jolene herself. She is in the running for one of my favorite JoJos of the entirety of the story thus far, and that's, some heavy contenders. Like, Joseph Joestar has been my favorite throughout all of these parts, and she's rivaling using him for my favorite. She's badass. She's similar to Jotaro, except she's more vocal and has more personality to her, and it's a whole different setting, like opposed to all of the, you know, worldwide adventures from the United Kingdom to New York City to Egypt and around the world to Japan. This one is straight up like, yo, locked down in a prison, and they still managed to hit a freaking home run. Some of the characters from Hermes, Guess, again, Jolene, just the villain of it thus far, being able to see Jotaro Kujo again. Ah, man, I ain't gonna lie, it was such a blast, and had it had its resolution and still maintaining that quality that I felt with the first 12 episodes, it probably would have been a lot higher. Could have been top 5, who knows, could have topped the list, but since we only got 12 episodes, and while it ended at a decent spot, it definitely feels like, oh, we still got ways to go. That's why I came in at number 9, but man, Stone Ocean, baby, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, waiting all this time in between parts. I want to say we got the debut of part 5, if I'm not mistaken. I know I saw an early screening of it back in like summer of 2018. To go from that, while I anxiously anticipated part 6, because Stone Ocean, ever since I saw Jolene Cujo, I was like, I know I'm gonna like this girl. I know I'm gonna be over the moon for how epic she is. And I was right. She's freaking awesome. And, you know, taking place in a correctional facility in Florida always, you know, is the icing on the cake for Stone Ocean of like, yeah, this definitely would happen in Florida, hands down. But yeah, number 9, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stone Ocean. Love to see it. I cannot wait. I am highly anticipating more episodes. And if, again, the anime it gets even better than this, or at the very least maintains, it'll probably be on my next year's top anime of the year as well, because it was slapping, dog. Amazing. Jolene Cujo greatness. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Next up, another one that it would definitely be a lot higher had I been more caught up, and I'm sure a lot of people will probably be like, come on, Fornev, dog, this should have been top 5, top 3. It's my number 1. Why is it so low? Well, for starters, the fact that it made the top 10 is a very impactful thing. I've seen a lot of anime throughout 2021. I just didn't necessarily finish everything because I just got so much anime manga on my plate. However, it was awesome enough with the first part that I want to say debut early January, if I'm not mistaken, and that anime is coming in at number 8. Drum roll. Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. Dog, that first half, again, the second half, I want to say just finished airing. I am going to get on it after this, and if I did get on it before this, I probably would have had it a lot higher. I understand how epic it is, but at the very least, the first half was freaking awesome. Loved it. Rudy as a concept in general was just so fascinating and interesting. A little twist on the whole life in another world isekai genre. Paul, my man, the Slayer, they talk about Dragon Slayers, they talk about this Slayer, that Slayer. This man is the Punani Slayer and gets away with it. And I ain't gonna lie, Mushoku Tensei, a lot of people always like to say it's the grandfather of the isekai genre. It's the one that started it all. And I could definitely see, because there's a lot of things I'll be like, oh, that kind of reminds me of this. Oh, it kind of reminds me of this. But honestly, a lot of the times I feel like even though these other series took from what Mushoku Tensei initially established, Mushoku Tensei just kind of does it a little bit better. And I really appreciated what it did. It started off a little bit different than what it ultimately became. I'm not going to lie. One of the things was that I was like, yo, this is so freaking funny seeing this dude that he was a grown-ass man in a past life. And when he was reborn, he maintained his memory. So even as a kid, he was like, oh shit, I'm in this other world. I went from a regular world to now I'm in the Middle Ages. Like, what the heck is going on here? But hands down, I am going to go finish Mushoku Tensei after this. I know, Fornev is so horrible. I know. But at the very least, it was great enough for me to post it at number 8 on my top 10 because it was freaking slapping. A lot of interesting characters, very dope world so far, and I'm looking forward to wrapping things up with this season and finishing it off. And I should have did it before this video, damn it. But the year is winding down, so I had to get this done for you guys, and at the very least tell you guys that I did see some of it, and it was pretty good what I did see, and that's why it's number 8. Coming in at number 7, this was a carryover from last year, but it was epic as hell. It was probably best anime of last year, or at the very least a contender for it, and this year it came in swinging and still was freaking awesome and high quality from Mappa Studios. You know it, you guessed it, you probably like Fornev. I'm happy you put it in here at the very least, and that is Jujutsu Kaisen. The second half of Jujutsu Kaisen returned at the beginning of this year, and it delivered, fam, between everything with Yuji and Gojo, and it was just honestly a visual treat. One of the things about modern anime, I feel like, is that people see shows like Jujutsu Kaisen, and that's what makes expectations outlandish sometimes, because Jujutsu Kaisen sets the bar really high between the production quality in general of like the art and animation is bar none some of the best stuff you're going to get out of a shonen anime or just an anime in general. Mappa Studios really have cemented their names in terms of being a high contender for high quality art and animation, and Jujutsu Kaisen was no exception. In fact, it was one of the things that made them, in my opinion, a staple that now you're hearing, oh, Chainsaw Man anime, Mappa Studios, Jigoku Raku, Hell's Paradise, Mappa Studios, everything is Mappa now. And I think a large part of it is due to the fact that the work that they did on Jujutsu Kaisen was just immaculate. The characters, though, aside from the production quality, though, the characters themselves were awesome. Nobara, Megumi, just in general, Jujutsu Kaisen is phenomenal. You know, it definitely is inspired by some of the greats like Hunter x Hunter and Yoshihiro Togashi's pen work in general, and Gege Akutami has did a phenomenal job. And yeah, that second half left a lot of people wanting more, and we just got, in Japan at the very least, it just aired the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero movie, and Jujutsu Kaisen is just, it's the bomb. And that second half was freaking awesome, getting to see a little bit of throwing down and whipping that ass of Mahito. That was freaking phenomenal. Jujutsu Kaisen number 7. Yeah. Number 6. Another carryover from the previous year, but this anime, I'll be honest with you, if it was part 1 and 2 combined, probably would have been number 1, maybe number 2, definitely top 3 hands down for me of the year. But considering what I'm judging off and what is being considered for this list, it's the second half. That is ReZero Season 2, the second half that was released during this year. My God, I'm not even gonna lie. Oh, between the witch, which for some reason I cannot remember exactly how to say her name. I want to say it's Ekina. Oh my God, Fornev, how did he forget? She was freaking awesome. Just in general, this series, this franchise, between part 1 that was cemented to me as like just a phenomenal anime, one of my favorite anime of the last decade, then getting part 2 with the first half last year, and then the second half. It was, with this year in particular, the batch of episodes we got, a lot more about development, a lot more about growing out of the stage of kind of almost transferring from I'm a victimhood, to ultimately taking control and saying, no, like enough is enough. I'm not going to just stand down. I'm going to actually rise to the occasion and take control of my own life and my destiny. And that's something that I definitely felt they accomplished so freaking well. And it was just a phenomenal second half of episodes, and definitely worthy of being in anybody's top 10 for the year. Like I said, though, if it was in combination, in unison with last year's episodes as well, for the totality of season 2 ReZero, yeah, it would have been probably number 1. Just keeping it real. Number 1, it definitely would have been. But because it's the second half and a lot of it was just development and stuff like that, which was still phenomenal and great in and of itself, it still has to make a list at the very least. And it's number 6, where it probably could have been maybe higher. I don't know. Like, yeah. Either way, Subaru, I can't wait to see the return with part 3 whenever that happens. And I ain't gonna lie, one of the things that I did wish that we got more of, and unfortunately was a little lacking, was my favorite character of the entire franchise. Yo, where was, what's her name? I can't forget. What's her name? I can't remember her name, homie. Like, yo, wait, was there a character? Who was I just thinking about right now? Okay, let me stop with the meme. Rem. Yeah, Rem. I miss you, Rem. Come back. Baby, come back. You can blame it all on me. Shoutouts to ReZero Season 2. Awesome stuff. Coming in at number 5. Wow, I never thought in a million years that I would be throwing this one in a top list. And not because the series itself ain't great, because manga-wise, it's always a top of either top 3 or number 1 in terms of great storytelling, great everything. But anime-wise, for the longest time, this series for me was just a no-go. No bueno. Can't rock with it. I dropped it way back, and not necessarily dropped it, but more so stopped reviewing it, stopped consistently watching it each and every week, because the pacing was just down bad for me. Really, really bad. Going back to the Rebecca stuff and Dressrosa, I'm talking about One Piece. So to go from those days of like, yo, it used to be nails on a chalkboard for me to go and watch some of those slow-paced episodes 6-7 years ago, to, yeah, number 5 in my top 10 anime of the year, man. Wano. But in particular, the thing that really stood for me and was phenomenal, and if it was its own separate spin-off story, would be, I don't even know, just a great freaking anime. The stuff with Odin's flashback. I cannot tell you how much, like, that literally made Oden one of my all-time favorite One Piece characters. Like, that really rose him up there. Everything that he went through, from being on Whitebeard's ship, Roger's ship, the betrayal, and everything that happened back at home in Wano, like, that was so freaking iconic to me. I even made videos like, hey guys, I watched a little of the One Piece anime. And let's not forget that we hit a major landmark with episode 1000. But you take even that stuff aside and you just focus in on what was done with the Oden flashback, art and animation on point. Oden, just such a freaking iconic and amazing character in and of himself, getting more exploration into big key characters in the world of One Piece. Whitebeard, Roger, just Shanks as a kid, Buggy as a kid. Yeah, dog. One Piece in 2021, the anime 2 was freaking banging, and that's why I at the very least had to give it a mention in top 5 of the year. Like, One Piece really rose to the occasion, and they've been on fire for a bit. I've been apprehensive just because those 2015 Dressrosa days, dog. Rebecca, it was a little much for me, but here we are. Wano has been phenomenal. The art and animation has been, for the most part, very consistent and top of the line. At times, even some of the, Wano scenes with Luffy and them when they were invading Onigashima and everything, just, I gotta stress, like, One Piece, night and day in terms of the quality of the anime now compared to where it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's just like, they really stepped it up. Shout outs to Toei at the very least for recognizing, yo, you want One Piece to keep on going for a long time. You gotta match its hype with its quality in terms of the production aesthetics, because story-wise, we know what One Piece does. The manga be topping the charts every year in terms of best manga of the year. The anime now too. So once again, big shout-outs to the big one, One Piece 2021. Wano, it hit different. Oden, amazing character. Coming in at number 4, probably the most underrated anime. Nobody really talked about it like that. I'm one of the few, and I'm coming again to talk to you guys about it and tell you, yeah, you might have missed this one, and it was so freaking good. It was good enough for me to put it in number 4 in my top anime of 2021, and that is the sequel series to Megalo Box Nomad, Megalo Box 2. I cannot stress how much this series is underrated, underappreciated, and so freaking good. Gearless Joe, to see the aftermath of his life following everything that happened in part 1 and kind of the downward spiral that Joe was on post part 1, and a lot of the losses that were taken. Like, I ain't gonna lie, just talking about it makes the hairs on my arm stand up, because it was definitely way darker than season 1. Like, it dealt with some serious issues with a lot of the characters, like addiction, and there was a lot of very powerful elements of storytelling within Nomad, but it delivered in so many different aspects. I mean, between the fights that we did get, it was freaking awesome. It had a different twist to it as well. It had a little bit more, because I want to say, did they go to Mexico? I want to say they were in Mexico, but it had a lot more of a Hispanic musical twist to the soundtrack, which soundtracks are a very big deal. They set the tone, and it definitely had a very nice different feel to it. And just in general, man, seeing Gearless Joe and once again a fall and rise, man, I don't think we'll probably ever get any more, because a lot of what Megalo Box was basically a tribute to the original story, Ashita no Joe, but they did a phenomenal job. Honestly, Megalo Box, if you're a fan of, like, you want a boxing anime, like let's just say a Hajime no Ippo, even though aside from the boxing element, it's very different from Hajime no Ippo, go watch Megalo Box part 1 and part 2. Again, part 2 just felt so different in terms of the darkness of how dark it got story-wise, but wow, it was amazing, and not many people were talking about it. So I wanted to tell you guys, Megalo Box 2. I know people would get a little apprehensive. Sports series, I don't know. But trust me, just trust me on this. Megalo Box, Nomad. But again, you got to watch part 1 to watch part 2. So just throwing that in there. And it's not that long. It's like, what, 12 episodes apiece, I think, for season 1 and 2. So yeah. Now, top 3. This was very, very difficult. And to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure that I got this list right. At the very least, it's my list. It's what I felt at the time when I comprised this list together. But it was very tough, because some of these series were just like, I feel like it should be number 1. But then I feel like, man, but with this provided, and so for the top 3, while it is technically, what I feel was 1 through 3, ultimately, I'm not 100% on this should be the order for top 3. So I want to add that disclaimer in there, because this was really tough for me. I'm not gonna lie, very, very tough. And coming in at number 3, you probably didn't guess it because you're probably thinking that this was going to be number one. And I feel like I want to put it at number one, but then I also want to put other stuff at number one. So yeah, Boruto Naruto Next Generations. One of the main reasons why this is not number one for me in 2021 is mainly due to the epicness and the huge impactful moments from the manga wasn't the only episodes that were delivered in 2021. If Boruto was a seasonal anime and we just got 24 episodes of all of the good stuff, easily number one. Whatever goes above number one, Boruto would have been above, because the moments that we did have were just legendary. I'm talking legendary. Naruto and Sasuke versus Jigen, Naruto and Sasuke versus Ishiki Otsutsuki, Boroshiki versus Boro, Boroshiki's return. It was stuck on go. It did all of the best moments of the manga in high quality, beautiful art and animation. I still feel they could have done the Kashi Koji moments a lot better and put more emphasis on it, considering it was my favorite stuff from the manga in 2020. But yeah, honestly, Boruto Naruto Next Generations easily could be number one, and I gotta keep on saying that because I really wanted to put it at number one, but I just felt it's unfair considering there was a lot of episodes post the Ishiki stuff that weren't the greatest. They were just anime canon stuff, like development for a lot of the side teams, and a lot of people even skipped those episodes. So it was just an insane year. This was definitely Boruto anime's best and biggest year, bar freaking none. And I hope the Boruto anime gets more years like this, because this really cemented that Boruto is not just necessarily like the little relic of whatever, you know, Naruto's shitty little son. Like, no, Boruto in and of itself stands on its own. When Boroshiki is in there, when Kawaki, a brand new character introduced to the Boruto story, is in there, shit is real. It just does get a little bit more spicy when you add Naruto and Sasuke and all the epicness. And let's not forget the goodbye that we had. So freaking good. Boruto Naruto Next Generations, number 3. Still, it could have been number 1. I ain't gonna lie. It's not really a cemented thing. I'm still unsure about this, but I know it's in there. It's in there. It's top 3, and it was just such a phenomenal year. I just wish we had, you know, why isn't this seasonal? This would be so impactful if it was just seasonal. Studio Pierrot, learn. Seasonal, yeah. Coming in at number 2 is an anime that not only was it production-wise freaking awesome, the transformations of going through different forms, in my opinion, is some of the best animation you're going to find out there, because that's such a complex thing to do, and it does it in such an amazing way. So aesthetics-wise, really dope stuff, but the story itself and how heart-wrenchingly sad it was from go up until the end, I couldn't do nothing but praise it, and this is why I made number 2. To Your Eternity. Ah, my God, I can't even think too much about it, and if I talk too much about it, I will spoil things, because there's a lot of deaths throughout the story. There's a lot of really sad moments in general, but just appreciating, like, honestly, it's almost an introspective look at life and the loss that you have in life. And imagine if you were an eternal being, like you started off as a rock and morphed into a wolf and morphed into a boy and morphed into, like, you know, as it continues to progress, ultimately it's this immortal being that is experiencing life in a different facet and understanding life and death and what it means to care for people and what it means to lose people that you care about. And man, To Your Eternity, it had me doing ugly cry after ugly cry many of times. It was really freaking good. Highly recommend. Definitely an awesome one, and they slam dunked it. I didn't expect it. I wasn't looking for it. I didn't think like, oh yeah, when I was looking at the anime coming for that season and for that year, I never thought like, oh, that To Your Eternity one looks good. I was just like, okay, this is a new show, let me give it a watch, see if I like it, and then I was crying. But it completely deserves the utmost respect for what it did. The soundtrack, that opening, it was freaking awesome. And again, if I talk too much about it, I'll spoil, and I don't want to spoil, so I just want to say that To Your Eternity made me cry, and the story was freaking amazing. And yeah, number 2 on my top 10. And if you made it this far, then my number one, again, it got shuffled around so many times, I didn't know what to do, man. I was like, there was so many good anime, so many moments, what do I do? But this anime, I will say, a lot of why I put it at number 1 was mainly my experience with it. And what I mean by that is, I didn't miss a week. There wasn't a week that went by that, like, oh, I forgot about this series. Like, every single week, once the episode dropped, at the very latest, that same night, I was watching that episode faithfully every freaking week for 6 months straight, because it was 24 episodes. And that series is Are You Ready? Funny enough, its manga also topped my list. That kind of speaks a lot about how much I feel for this story and how much I love it. And that series is Tokyo Revengers. Oh my god, it was so freaking good. It was so good. I ain't gonna lie. It was amazing, man. Every freaking week, finding out what Takamichi is going to try and do next to try and stop Fate from going into a complete disarray of destruction and chaos and death. It was emotional. It was a heck of a ride. One of the things that I never really got, like the fandom always complained about Takamichi being a crybaby, and he did cry, but for some reason there was so many other story elements that it never really bothered me. Like some other series, when the character's a crybaby, it kind of pisses me off. I'm not gonna lie, but there was just so many epic badass people around him. From you got Mikey, you got Dorakon, just so many epic characters. The story itself was so awesome. I'm a major fan of time travel stories, and while that was not the biggest element of it, it definitely was very important. And just seeing the different, oh my god, man, Tokyo Revengers, easily a freaking top 3 anime of 2021. The production quality could have been better in terms of art and animation. It wasn't a 10 out of 10 in that aspect, but the story mainly carried. And like I said, each and every week, I didn't miss a week. I didn't miss a day. Like the day the episode came out, by the nighttime, I'm watching it and I'm having a blast, and I loved it, and that's why it topped my list. And yeah, but I'm very curious what you guys think out of the anime that was released in 2021, whether it be just a second batch of episodes, a season 2, a new anime, whatever it is. What were the anime that hit your list? A couple of honorable mentions. It was a lot to do with some of the stuff that you guys said. Was Odd Taxi. A lot of people told me that was a dope one and were recommending that to me for a while. Sunny Boy, I heard that one was good. Osama Ranking is one I'm going to definitely give a try to give him point. Vivi, I started watching that. I want to say I was like 6 or 7 episodes in. I never finished it. I need to go finish it because it was breathtaking and the story was very awesome. Nagatoro, I did not expect to like that. I did not expect for it to be as wholesome as it turned out to be. Really love that. Please don't totally miss Nagatoro. That shit was awesome. I can't wait for season 2. Dragon Quest, I wasn't caught up. I do like Dragon Quest, and a lot of people told me that this year it slapped. And last but not least, it ended at the end of March, but it was awesome, and it's one of my faves. Y'all know it. Black Clover, I had to give a nod to it because it did finish its run this year, and the finale of episodes, they were fan made. A lot of fans pitched in to work on these episodes, and they came out swinging and banging, and I'm looking forward to the return of the anime at some given point. But it definitely had a really good impact at the start of 2021, even though it finished off in March. But yeah, people, your list. Any anime that I should have mentioned, any anime you felt should have been higher, lower in the list, and just in general, the anime of the year for you in 2021. That's all I have for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all, okay, let me stop, notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in, and wow, anime in 2021. Very, very big. Looking forward to what 2022 has in store for all of us. Have an awesome one.
You are what I know, so just go to find me.